Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Roller Skate Dad podcast. This is episode number 19. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Roller Skate Dad podcast, the show that covers everything and anything in the wonderful world of roller skating. Now, here's your host, the Roller Skate Dad himself, Jeff Stone.
Hey, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Roller Skate Dad podcast. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to start off today's show by letting you know that you might hear some thunder and some rain in the background because today here in Austin, it's actually raining. And we've been getting a lot of rain this year. So anyway, if you hear thunder, if you hear lightning, that's what it is. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. And today we're going to continue our series of podcast episodes that are going to focus on getting started with roller skating. As I stated in my first few episodes of the podcast, one of my main goals with the Roller Skate Dad website, podcast, and club is to get more people skating, or to get people who used to skate back roller skating again. And it's a big mission of mine. And so I think roller skating is an amazingly fun and enjoyable hobby. You know, it's great exercise, it can be social, and it's just plain fun. And I'm trying to do anything I can to get more people out there skating and having fun. So the Getting Started Roller Skating series is going to be for those that are just starting out roller skating for the very first time. Or maybe you've been away from roller skating for 10 or 20 years. I meet a lot of you out there who are like that. This would be a great series for you as well to get reacclimated back into roller skating regularly. In this series, I'm going to give you everything that you need to get started. So you have no excuses now. Everyone can roller skate. Everyone. And even if you're already an accomplished skater, I hope you'll get some use from these episodes too. If nothing else, I hope they inspire you to take that friend or that family member who doesn't skate along with you the next time you go skating. That's how we grow this amazing hobby, one person at a time. In the last episode, episode 18, of the Roller Skate Dad podcast, we talked all about getting in the right mindset. I called it the skater's mindset. Too many people, especially adults, think they can't roller skate. I often hear friends or family members or adults whose kids skate at the rink, and they say things like, "Oh, I haven't skated since I was a kid. Roller skating is for kids. I'm too old to be roller skating. That's for kids. I'm afraid I'd get hurt. I'd die or kill myself if I put on a pair of skates. I'm a klutz. There's no way I could skate. I'm just not good at that. I'd look like an idiot out there. I can't skate." If you think you can't roller skate, then you need to go back to episode 18, part 1 of this series, and listen to that episode first. As I explain in that episode, if you can walk, then you can learn how to roller skate. And I really, really believe that. Anyone and everyone can roller skate. It just takes the right mindset, believing you can do it, a little practice, and of course, a pair of skates. And today is going to be part 1 of 2 parts that's going to be talking to you as a beginner about tips that you need to take into consideration when you're picking out your first pair of roller skates. Okay, let's get started. So in today's episode, we're going to talk all about how to pick out your very first pair of roller skates. We're going to go over all the things that you should consider before you buy your first pair of roller skates. And I was going to try to do all this in one episode, but there's so many things that you need to really think about and understand before you pick out your first pair of skates. There was no way to jam it all into one episode. So we're going to break this apart into 2 episodes so that I can go into detail for you about all the things that you need to take into consideration before you buy those first pair of skates. And I want you to get excited. Woohoo! I mean, you're buying your first pair of roller skates. Yeah! This is so awesome. I hope you're excited. I'm excited for you. You're going to have so much fun learning how to skate, and you're going to have a blast once you know how to skate, going out and roller skating every week. It's just a ton of fun. Plus, did I mention how good roller skating is for you from a health perspective? If you're anything like me, you probably don't like to work out. I really don't like to run on the treadmill. It's boring. I don't really like to use the exercise bike. Yes, I have an exercise bike. It's actually sitting in the living room, just a few feet away from me. I should use it, but I'd rather go skate. I'd just rather be listening to good music and roller skating. So if you go back and listen to episode 17 of the podcast, I talk all about the great health benefits of roller skating. There are so many great benefits. You're doing a great thing here for your health, so good for you. All right, before we start talking about the best skates for a beginner, we need to talk about a few things first. I'm about to throw a ton of information at you, so you need to get ready. But don't worry, by the end of this episode, you'll have a high-level understanding of some of the first tips that you need to take into consideration to successfully pick out your first pair of roller skates. Then next week, I'm going to go over the remaining tips, followed by another episode that will actually go over the top 10 roller skates that I recommend to brand new roller skating beginners. In my recommendations, I'll cover low top skates and high top quads, rollerblades, and even some inlines. And that will all be in episode 21. Then in episode 22, I'm going to go over safety gear and give you recommendations of the protection that every beginner should have in their bag. This is to make sure you don't get hurt when you're skating. Then, starting at episode 23 and beyond for several episodes, we're going to go through all the techniques and the different steps that you need to go through as a beginner to become a proficient roller skater. And that's my goal. My goal is to try to teach you how to be a proficient roller skater so that you can enjoy this hobby as much as I do. So we'll cover everything you need to get started at and excel at roller skating. Woohoo, this is going to be fun! I hope you're excited. Today, I want to give you roller skate preparation information so you understand what you're buying first before you invest in a pair of skates. To get a good pair of skates, you're going to invest between $150 to $250. And I want you to get something that works well for you. If you have a good pair of skates starting out, you're much more likely to enjoy roller skating and to stick with it. Plus, I personally like to understand what I'm buying before I throw my hard-earned money down on a new hobby. So, with all that said, I hope this episode will help you, the beginner, get started with the great hobby of roller skating without breaking the bank. Okay, enough setup. Let's go. First, we need to answer a few questions before we get started. We need to understand, where are you going to be skating each week? More specifically, what kind of surface will you be practicing on every week? You know, before you buy your first roller skates, you need to think about where you will actually be doing most of your skating. So why is this important? Because where you plan to skate will determine the type of wheels you want on your roller skates. If you're skating on rough surfaces like asphalt or rough concrete, you're going to want to make sure your new roller skates have outdoor wheels on them. Not all roller skates are made for outdoors, so it's important to understand where you will be skating. So if you are skating outdoors, you'll want to get a softer wheel. For right now, just write down or make a mental note of where you'll be doing most of your skating. It's an important first step and one that often many beginners overlook. Okay, you got that figured out? Good. Let's move on to the next step. Next, we need to think about how good your balance is already. You know, the better your balance is, the faster you're going to excel at roller skating. Like most balance sports, roller skating is all about control. Once you have control of your skates and your body on top of them, then roller skating is very much like walking really fast without much effort. At least that's the way I feel when I'm skating. For me and other advanced skaters, I often can roller skate better than I can walk or even run. It may sound weird, but after enough time on skates, you're going to start to understand. It just becomes second nature. So how good are you at balance without a pair of roller skates on? You know, you may not know this answer. Let's try this quick balance test. If you are not driving, stand up on your 2 feet and have your feet shoulder width apart. Now, pick up your left leg with your knee bent. Pull your foot at least 6 inches off of the ground. You should be standing on just your right leg. Now count 1001, 1002, 1003, all the way up to 1030. How long can you stand like that without putting your left leg down or without your arms flailing or you having to grab onto something to keep you upright? Is it 10 seconds? 30 seconds? Maybe you can do that for a minute or more. If you can stand on one leg for more than 30 seconds, then I think your balance is pretty decent. Another way to assess your balance is through other sports or fitness activities you may have done in the past. Have you ever done yoga? Postures like tree and eagle and warrior three are all great yoga balance poses. Or maybe you've done a lot of bicycling or done other balance sports like gymnastics, surfing, or even skiing. Regardless, you're going to want to be able to assess your balance, as that will help with choosing out your first pair of roller skates. Stability is a very important part of enjoying roller skating. So boot choices can give you more or less stability. Wheel diameter and width can also affect stability. The hardness of your skate wheels also can affect stability. And when you're first starting out, stability is the most important thing that you need as a beginner roller skater. So understanding where your balance is currently will help you to assess how much you need your equipment to compensate or not for your balance. I will put some links to some good balance tests in the show notes so that you can actually check those out if you're interested in assessing your own balance, something I highly recommend to beginners before they start roller skating. Next, I like beginners to think about what they actually want to do once they know how to roller skate. Do you already have a roller sport or a particular type of roller skating that you want to do? This is important to stick with a new goal, like trying to teach yourself something new for the first time. You need to actually envision where you want to be once you have learned and know how to do that skill well and you're excelling. Having that vision of the future and what you hope to attain and be able to do is actually a great way to motivate yourself to stick with something that's brand new that you're going to struggle with when you first start. Anytime you start something new, it's going to be hard, and because it's new. So you have to have that extra motivation to stick with it. And having something in the future that you want to attain, like being a roller derby player, or I want to be a speed skater, or I want to do artistic skating, or I just want to be able to go to session and skate with my kids or my grandkids, and that shuffle skating looks kind of fun. I might like to do a little bit of dancing on my skates while I'm at session. Those are all good goals to have to help drive your motivation and keep you going with roller skating as you're learning. Besides motivation, the other important reason why knowing what roller sport or type of skating you might want to do is important in the beginning is because it can actually help you pick out your first pair of roller skates. If possible, your first skates should really be in the style of the roller sport that you want to compete in. Each roller sport kind of has a specific style of roller skate. They're all fairly similar, but there's some differences that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. So if you want to play a roller sport, write down that roller sport or make a quick mental note of it. It's okay if you're just a beginner and can't see yourself actually playing that sport just yet. Let's just assume you are and write it down. Or maybe you're like, hey, Jeff, I just want to roller skate outside or roller skate at a rink with my kids or my grandkids, and I just don't want to fall down. I want to skate with my family and have a good time. I'm not interested in roller sports. And if that's you, then good news. You can really choose your skate more based on comfort, stability, needs, and the surface that you'll skate on. Okay, so you now know the surface that you're going to be skating on, how good your balance is, and the type of skating you're going to do once you get good at this roller skate thing. All right, good. Let's move on to learning more about roller skates so we can make a better informed choice on what to purchase for ourselves. As a beginner, the first thing you need to think about when you're looking at buying a pair of skates is you need to think about what type of skate you want to learn on. Are you going to go with quads or inlines, or also known to many as rollerblades? So what's the difference? First, the skates are just put together differently. Quads have two sets of wheels on each skate boot, 4 wheels per skate. The wheels and the axles are kind of set up like your car. 2 wheels in the front and 2 wheels in the back on an axle, just like your car. 2 on the left and 2 on the right. Quads are the old school, traditional roller skates, the ones that people like me and older, those were the only skates that existed were quad roller skates. So that's what everybody learned on. Inlines come with 3 to 4 wheels, all in a straight line, running down the middle of the boot. Inline wheels are also not as wide as quad skate wheels and are also taller than quad wheels. Most quad wheels fall in the 31 to 44 millimeter width range, whereas many inline wheels are 24 millimeters thick or thinner. This makes a big difference when it comes to stability, because wider wheels are more stable and better for beginners. The height of the wheels, also known as the wheel diameter, also affects stability. The taller the wheel, the harder it is to balance on and harder it is to control that wheel. Quad wheels usually fall between 45 millimeters and 70 millimeters in height, whereas rollerblades and aggressive inline roller skates can have 2 to 3 times that height. Many inline skates are in the range of 50 millimeters all the way up to 130 millimeters. The kind most speed skaters wear are usually super tall, between 100 millimeters and 130 millimeters. You need really good balance and strong ankles to be able to stand up on aggressive inline skates. This is one reason I do not recommend new skaters start out on aggressive inline skates. As a quick aside, I've actually owned a pair of these aggressive inline skates myself. I've skated for almost 30 years of my life, and I even found it hard and difficult to stand up in these. I mean, I did okay. I was able to skate around the rink without much problem, but control was a different story. It was hard to actually get them to go where I wanted them to go, simply because I'm so used to being in quads or in rollerblades. If you have decent balance, then starting on rollerblades or inlines is definitely an option. It's honestly a matter of preference and the type of skating you plan to do. If you're going to be doing a lot of outdoor skating, then you may want to go with a pair of rollerblades. There are a lot of good outdoor rollerblading groups around, and those skates were really made for the outdoors. If you really want to get into inline speed skating, then starting on rollerblades is also a good choice. You get practice balancing on a blade, but you get more stability because the wheels are a little bit wider and you have a lot more stability and comfort in the boot because the boot goes up over the ankle. There are many, many people out there who start on rollerblades and then advance to these aggressive inline skates. My youngest daughter, Violet, was one of these people. She actually started skating on quads, didn't really like them because she saw all the other kids at the skating rink wearing rollerblades or inline skates. So I got her a pair of rollerblades. She got used to skating on rollerblades because there is a difference. And then once she got good at the rollerblades, I bought her a pair of aggressive inline skates. And each one of those is a transition and took her time to learn how to master and get good at. If you're more old school like me and you kind of just always skated on quads, or if your balance is suspect at best, then a quad skate is probably more for you. All right, now that we've gone over the high-level differences between inline skates and quad skates, let's talk a little bit about the typical type of roller skate that most people wear based on the type of roller skating that they are doing. As I said earlier, this can actually help you pick out your first pair of roller skates because if you know I want to play roller derby or I want to speed skate or I want to be an artistic skater, then you can actually make your first purchase be more about the skate and the type of skating that you want to do in the future. So first we have artistic skating. If you're doing artistic skating, then quads are the typical skate that you use, though inlines are becoming more popular even in artistic skating. When I artistic skated, prior to the turn of the century, yes, I'm old, there was only quad artistic skating out there. I mean, there were no inlines back when I skated, and they came on in my later teenage years. So everybody did quad artistic skating. Now people, though, are doing inline artistic skating. My good friend, Alberto Quiones, who was on a podcast with us here back in episode 6, does all of his art skating in inline skates. His kids do that too. He has two boys, Max and Luciano, and both of them also do all of their artistic skating in inlines. Quads are more common still in art, so I would go that route if you're interested in art skating, but you can do either. If speed skating is more what you want to do, then you should really start with rollerblades and work your way up to aggressive inline skates. Now, there is quad speed skating out there, but it's really a small group today. Most of the quad speed skaters are old-timers like me or even older who refuse to go inline. There are still some kids that do quad speed skating, but even at the national speed skating meet held every year, quads is a walk-on national meet, meaning you don't have to qualify to compete in quads. You just have to have a pair of quad roller skates and show up at the national meet and you can compete. Inline speed skating is really where it's at, and that's where all the competition is today. Now, if your balance is really good and you don't want to have to eventually buy 2 pairs of skates, then you can go straight to the aggressive inline skates. But be warned, I'm warning you, you're going to struggle more at the beginning. Like I said before, I've skated for over 25, 30 years, and balancing on aggressive inline skates takes a ton of work. It takes a toll on your ankles, so you've been warned. Or maybe you're more interested in jam skating. So if you are interested in jam skating, then all the jam skaters I know do their sport in quad skates. So you're going to want to get a pair of quads if jam skating is for you. Next, let's talk roller derby. Everyone I've ever met who plays derby does so in quads. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play roller derby in inlines. Maybe there's a few people out there, but every bout I've ever been to, roller derby girls and guys are always in quad skates. Lastly, we have roller hockey. If you're into roller hockey or you want to get into roller hockey, then again, you're going to want to get inline skates. Specifically, you're going to want to get rollerblades that are marketed and geared to hockey players. They usually have a harder boot and they have smaller wheels, and they're a specific subset of skates that we're going to discuss in future episodes. But if you're really interested in roller hockey, then you definitely want to go out and get yourself a pair of roller hockey skates. And if you're just like me and you're in your 40s and maybe you're coming back to roller skating after being gone for a decade or 2 or 3, or maybe you're just starting out roller skating for the very first time as an adult and you don't want to play a roller sport, then I would just go with whatever type of skate you're most interested in learning how to do. If you're going to be doing mostly rink skating and you're going to be indoors skating with a bunch of people, I would recommend you either be in quads or in rollerblades. Aggressive inline skates they're fun, they are super fast, but during a session, they're a lot harder to control because you have a lot more obstacles that you have to go around. So if you're a brand new beginner, especially an adult, and you're just getting started, I would stick with either quads or with rollerblades. All right, everybody. That's all we're going to cover in this week's episode. I'm going to break this tips area out into 2 podcast episodes because there's just so much to cover. For now, I want you to think about the things we covered today, like where are you going to do most of your roller skating? Indoors at a rink, a gym, or outdoors? What kind of surface are you going to be skating on? Wood, sports court, concrete, or asphalt? How good is your balance already? Use some of the tips and the links that I'll have in the show notes to help you assess where your balance is already. Do you already have a roller sport or a specific kind of skating that you want to do? If so, make note of that for next week's episode. What kind of skates do you think you want to try first? Do you want to do quads, rollerblades, or are you geared up and ready to try out inline skates, aggressive inline skates? And finally, if you're doing a kind of roller sport, understand the different types of skates that most people in that sport use regularly. We just covered that. So this may help you decide whether you need quads, rollerblades, or inlines. And if you're confused, don't worry. That's normal, especially in the beginning. Anytime you're trying something new. I'm always confused in the beginning when I'm first trying to learn something for the first time. And as always, I'm here. Feel free to reach out to me. You can contact me directly by going to rollerskatedad.com, and up in the top menu, there's a link that says Ask Dad. And if you click on that link, you'll go to a page where you can send me an email and ask me anything that may be on your mind. You know, it usually takes me a couple of days to respond, but I try to get back to everyone in a timely fashion. And I'm here to help. I want more people to roller skate in the world. And so I'm just trying to do my part to make that a reality. So in next week's episode, we're going to cover all the tips a beginner needs to know about boots, wheels, bearings, plates, and toe stops so that you can feel confident in making your first or your next purchase of roller skates. If you'd like links to the balance assessments or any of the other stuff that I mentioned in today's episode, you're going to want to check out the show notes. The show notes are a great place to get more information about this episode, read a transcript of this episode, and to just communicate with me about the episode. So it's a great place where you can actually leave me a comment or ask me a question as well. To get to the show notes for this episode, go to rollerskatedad.com/19. If you've been listening to the Roller Skate Dad podcast, you know here at the end, I always ask you for a rating and a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Downloads, ratings, and reviews are how podcasts get ranked on many of the platforms. So if you'd like to help the Roller Skate Dad podcast out, I'd really appreciate a rating and a review wherever you listen. And thank you. If you're not a member of the Roller Skate Dad Club, you're going to want to join. Sign up is fast and easy. All it takes is your name and your email address, and you're in. The Roller Skate Dad Club is a great way to stay in touch with me, stay up to date on what's going on with the show, as well as the rollerskatedad.com website. Plus, you get easy access into every monthly contest where I give away free roller skating gear. Head on over to rollerskatedad.com to join the skate club today. All right, everybody, that's another episode in the books. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. And until next week, get on out there and skate.
Thank you for listening to the Roller Skate Dad podcast at www.rollerskatedad.com. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or wherever you're listening.